but I hope Justin gonna kick his ass, and we're gonna forget about Paddy all our life.
Instead, that guy's going to jump Arman Tsarukyan. Arman got screwed this past week. Is exactly what happened. That's tough for him.
Arman Tsarukyan. Why does Dana White hate Arman Tsarukyan so much? That was my headline on this. Why does Dana hate Arman so much?
Interim title fight you could have at lightweight. Because one man is not involved. Where the hell is Arman Tsarukyan?
To begin with, Arman Tsarukyan keeps dominating yet remains overlooked as analysts debate his path to the lightweight title, and his next move could shake up the entire division. Meanwhile, in a surprising twist, Ilia Topuria sent a pointed and spirited message ahead of Paddy Pimblett's upcoming fight. While offering Pimblett a quick tip on staying sharp and protected in the octagon, he also directly called out Arman Tsarukyan, framing the upcoming clash as a challenge in the larger division narrative. His message combined encouragement, strategy, and rivalry in one. He said, "Paddy, win your next fight, hands up, chin down, and Arman Patu, this dance is for you." Building on that, Arman Tsarukyan amped up the rivalry by unleashing a fiery message toward Paddy Pimblett. Clearly irritated by Pimblett's recent comments and growing confidence, Tsarukyan didn't hold back, calling him out and expressing how fed up he is with the ongoing back and forth. His confrontational tone underscores how personal this feud has become, adding even more heat to their lightweight storyline. He said, "That bullshit guy, I hate him. He's such a If I see Paddy, I'd like to slap him." Looking at the details, Wade Plemons emphasized that the interim title opportunity should have gone to Arman Tsarukyan, who's fully capable of turning around quickly after his last fight. He noted that Arman emerged unscathed and ready to compete again, suggesting that his exclusion likely stems from circumstances like a previous withdrawal rather than any lack of readiness or ability.
And we'll get into some detractors of Arman in a second, but this one was a no-brainer. It should have been Arman. He could turn around. I think he even said he could turn around for January. I know he just had a fight, but he didn't take any damage and was open about the fact that he would turn around quickly. Why Arman doesn't get this shot? It has to be maybe because of the pullout.
On the other hand, Wade Plemons questioned the rationale behind leaving Arman Tsarukyan out of the title picture, suggesting that inactivity shouldn't be a disqualifier. He argued that if activity is a concern, Paddy Pimblett deserves scrutiny as well. Plemons reinforced that Tsarukyan's inclusion would have made for an exciting, high-stakes matchup, calling it a fight fans would have genuinely anticipated.
Is it because he's somewhat inactive as well? If that's the case, then we got to put Paddy Pimblett under the microscope too. We'll get into it in a second, but this should have been Arman.
Turning to another perspective, Josh Thomson questioned the UFC's treatment of Arman Tsarukyan, stressing how unusual it is to overlook a fighter coming off such a dominant, one-sided win over a veteran like Dan Hooker. He argued that Tsarukyan had earned his place in the title picture, yet the promotion shifted the stakes to Pimblett versus Gaethje, instead leaving Arman without a clear path forward.
Arman Tsarukyan. Why does Dana White hate Arman Tsarukyan so much? That was my headline on this. Why does Dana hate Arman so much? He just had a dominant performance, finished the fight, was chasing the submission or the knockout the whole time, did a great job getting the work done, made it look easy. He made it look easy against Dan Hooker, who's always dangerous. Sure, he's not the best wrestler in the world, but man, he's a joy to watch. I love Dan Hooker. I'll always tune in to watch him fight. That fight was supposed to be for the #1 contender spot. This fight now, all of a sudden, is for the #1 contender spot. It's for the interim title. That guarantees you the #1 contender spot. Where does that put Arman, and how do you see this fight going between Pimblett and Gaethje?
From a different angle, Angelo Bodetti offered a harsh perspective on why the UFC may be sidelining Tsarukyan, arguing that the promotion still views him as responsible for derailing a massive event earlier in the year. He suggested the organization lost significant revenue when Tsarukyan withdrew from the planned title fight, and believes the UFC has been slow to reward him ever since as a consequence.
You said, why does Dana White hate Arman? And it's because Arman screwed what could have been the biggest event of 2025. He screwed it. He, by himself, he screwed it. It was entirely his fault. Nobody else's fault. Nobody to blame. He was supposed to fight Islam in January. He pretended he had a back injury the night before. How suspicious. He pretended he had a back injury the night before, and then Islam ends up fighting Renato Moicano. It screwed up the whole card because it was supposed to be Renato versus Beneil, and like you move the whole card around, it screwed up the entire thing. I imagine they lost real money. Like I imagine the difference in pay-per-view buys from Islam versus Arman to Islam versus Renato Moicano. I mean, they might have lost $50 million. Literally, that could literally be the number, the difference between if Arman showed up and didn't show up. So he is still paying his dues. He's still paying off that debt. The UFC basically wouldn't book him a fight. They told him he's not getting a title shot anytime soon. They made him weigh in.
Conversely, looking forward, Nick B took a different angle, suggesting that the situation may actually benefit Arman Tsarukyan in the long run. Since Tsarukyan just competed and couldn't realistically return in January, Pete believes the interim matchup simply acts as a filter. No matter who wins between Pimblett and Gaethje, he sees it ultimately leading to a showdown with Tsarukyan once Ilia Topuria finally returns.
I think the winner here for me is, this sounds mental, it's kind of like Arman Tsarukyan. Because Arman Tsarukyan, for me, is the standout number one contender. And if Ilia spins out in January, when Arman's just fought last week, there's no way Arman Tsarukyan fights in January. So actually, everyone's kind of having a go at Gaethje and certainly having a go at Paddy at the moment. I think Tsarukyan's the winner because regardless of who wins this interim belt, I still think this is a final eliminator to face the winner of Ilia versus Tsarukyan anyway. Now, listen, a lot of things can happen. People can get injured. Tsarukyan especially could get injured and it could change the landscape a little bit. But I honestly thought when we left Qatar, I was thinking, wow, Paddy's going to get a shot at Ilia, man. January's going to be amazing.
Shifting the focus, Ilia Topuria weighed in on the current lightweight landscape, suggesting that the most straightforward route for Paddy Pimblett to secure a future title shot is by facing Justin Gaethje. He indicated that a matchup against Arman Tsarukyan would be far more challenging, implying that Tsarukyan remains the toughest contender in the division and a significant hurdle for anyone chasing a belt. He said, so if he wants to assure his title shot, he has to fight with Justin Gaethje, because if he fights with Arman, I think Arman is going to beat him. Meanwhile, considering audiences, Jed Meshew shifted the discussion toward how the UFC is packaging this card for mainstream audiences, saying the promotion is clearly aiming at casual viewers who tune in for excitement rather than ranking top. He highlighted that while the co-main event is strong, Gaethje remains the undeniable draw. Meshew emphasized that Gaethje's style guarantees action, making him the perfect centerpiece for attracting wider attention.
On Thanksgiving, and it's like, oh, the UFC is coming to Paramount Plus. I'll check out this first fight card. Like, that dude doesn't know about Arman Tsarukyan. That guy doesn't care. He's just going to watch some fist fights. And this is for that guy. And it's especially for that guy because we'll talk about the co-main event. The co-main event is a terrific fight. I am very, very excited to watch that fight. There is, I would say, at least a 50-50 chance that that fight is not the most compelling thing to watch for a casual observer. And let me tell you, nobody in the history of the universe has ever been like, Justin Gaethje is not fun. Justin Gaethje is boring.
Continuing the analysis, Dean Thomas gave his honest assessment of the matchup, stating that Pimblett's creativity and kicking range won't be enough against Gaethje's trademark pressure. He pointed out that Pimblett has struggled in past fights and that Gaethje operates on a completely different level. Thomas added that this interim bout is likely Pimblett's most favorable title opportunity, even though he still sees the gap between them as wide.
I personally don't think it's going to be that close at all. I mean, Paddy Pimblett's crafty. He's a crafty fighter. He's got a very strong skill set. He's not afraid to fight off of his back. He doesn't wrestle all that well, but he uses his length well in terms of his kicks. But I just think the amount of violence that Justin Gaethje brings to the fight is going to be too much for Paddy. I mean, we saw what Paddy did against Jared Gordon, and a lot of people think he lost that fight. And Justin Gaethje is not Jared Gordon. You know what I'm saying? Now, Paddy looked great against Bobby Green. That was a really quick fight. He looked great against Michael Chandler, but Michael Chandler was on the decline. I just think that Paddy, this is his best chance. We talked about Gaethje. This is also Paddy's best chance of winning a title because I don't think he would have fared well against Ilia or Tsarukyan either. But this is his best chance of winning a title, and I don't even really see it being all that close.
On the other hand, MMA Guru highlighted the frustration surrounding Arman Tsarukyan's position in the title picture. Despite public statements suggesting a belt opportunity was on the line, Tsarukyan's fight against Dan Hooker ended up being a stepping stone for others instead. The UFC prioritized Pimblett versus Gaethje, leaving Arman sidelined despite his dominant performance and readiness for a championship shot.
There was no title shot for Arman. So the UFC just said, fight Dan Hooker. Even Dana White said at a press conference, yeah, the winner of this is going to fight for a belt. Sure. Apparently not. Apparently not. So they just made Arman fight Dan Hooker and just laughed about it. Like, lol, we're still going to make Paddy Pimblett fight for some kind of title against Justin Gaethje anyway. Good one, Arman. Nice finish, buddy.
Expanding the discussion, Angelo Bodetti weighed in on the lightweight landscape, noting that while some contenders make sense, Arman Tsarukyan remains the standout choice for the next title opportunity. He explained why other fighters like Max Holloway or Charles Oliveira aren't suitable for this particular belt picture, citing reasons such as belt separation and division alignment, while emphasizing Arman's deserving position in the conversation.
This dude is on a 7-fight inside the UFC win streak. I don't hate him being in there. Then if you want to debate the other side, Arman is an interesting debate, right? It probably should be Arman. Like I said, I think everybody agrees. But outside of that, Max Holloway is the only other person, right? Ilia's gone. It was his belt. That's why we have this. Islam's not in this weight class anymore. Shouldn't be ranked there anymore. We have Arman. Max Holloway, he is coming off a win over Dustin, but he's the BMF champion. And they don't want to commingle those belts. They don't want one person to have them both, because the reason the BMF belt exists is to have a belt for people that'll never actually be a true undisputed world champion or can't be in that current era. Charles Oliveira, we can't keep giving this dude title shots. I know people love him. He's amazing, but save him for a BMF title shot.
Adding to that, Angelo Bodetti highlighted that only a few fighters are realistically in the mix. He identified Arman Tsarukyan, Paddy Pimblett, and Justin Gaethje as the only contenders with a legitimate claim to a title opportunity. Other names in the division are either on losing streaks or not positioned for a championship shot at this time.
Justin Gaethje is the next one after that. After Justin is Benoit Saint-Denis. We're not going to give Benoit a title shot, not yet. Hanado Moikan's on a 2-fight losing streak. Gamrot just lost. Physique, like, that's it. Like, that's the weight class. So the only 3 people that are even in a conversation for any sort of title fight right now at lightweight are Arman, Paddy, and Justin.
Finally, wrapping up, Angelo Bodetti addressed the debate over whether Arman Tsarukyan should have received the interim title opportunity. He acknowledged that while a quick turnaround might have been unrealistic, Justin Gaethje's influence and excitement factor played a major role in the UFC's decision. Bodetti emphasized that despite the controversy, the matchup remains entertaining and justifiable from a promotional standpoint.
Yeah. So the only real debate is, should Arman have gotten it? I get them not doing the quick turnaround. Justin, I think, is being a bit of a, hey, do this or I'm out. And the UFC's looking at it. Hey, this guy's exciting. He's helped us out in the past. It's a ton of fun no matter what. Let's just do it. And they did it. So I don't necessarily hate that.
As the UFC lightweight picture continues to shift, one thing is clear. Arman Tsarukyan isn't going anywhere. Overlooked by the promotion but undefeated in skill and determination, he's quietly building a case that could shake up the division at any moment. With the fiery rivalry against Paddy Pimblett heating up and Justin Gaethje still looming as a dominant force, the stakes have never been higher. So here's the question for you. Who truly deserves the next title shot? Tsarukyan, Pimblett, or Gaethje? And how much does UFC politics influence who actually gets the opportunity? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you love breaking down every twist and turn of the UFC lightweight division like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into every feud, fight, and controversy shaking up the octagon.